I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this is Outside My Window.
Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association is a destination marketing organization committed to promoting tourism and tourism operators for our area. With all that's gone on in the past number of years, no boat came back, then COVID. It's been a series of challenges for YASTA. We caught up with Neil MacKenzie, YASTA CEO, from his office in Yarmouth County. Neil, for my benefit and of course our listeners' benefit as well, what is Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association? And at a high level, what's your reach and what do you guys actually do?
Sure. That's a great question, actually, because I actually have to try to explain what I do to some of my family and friends sometimes, and they don't know. And often, what I'll say is I work in destination marketing or tourism marketing. That really kind of makes sense to folks, and you know, really, what we do, the Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association, or YASTA, we are a DMO, a destination marketing organization. Sometimes in the industry, in the destination marketing sector, some organizations consider themselves DOs or destination organizations because they don't just do marketing, and that certainly is true of us as well. We do marketing and a lot of what we do is marketing, but a lot of what we do is partnerships. We do advocacy. We work to develop the destination. So we leverage partnerships and we get people in touch with each other, and we connect folks to try to build more tourism experiences, all with the goal of bringing more people here and getting them to stay longer and spend more and come back again. So um, we are a DMO. That's a easy way to kind of remember it. It's a short little analogy. Acronym. Destination Marketing Organization, and there's marketing organizations around the world in many destinations. In the United States, they're often either destination marketing organizations or they're often connected to their convention bureaus. So you may see businesses or organizations called the Destination and Convention Bureau type of thing, but they're all set with a purpose to bring visitors to their jurisdictions or their regions. Sometimes they're membership based. So if you wanted to be a member of that organization, you would pay a fee, and then you get the benefits of the marketing and the other leveraging that organization can bring you. Or in our case, in Yarmouth and Acadian Shores, and many places in Canada, um, we're not a membership organization. We're simply tasked, and it's a challenging task, but we're tasked with marketing and promoting the destination of Yarmouth and Acadian Shores, the brand, yarmouthandacadianshores.com. We own that website. We drive business and traffic to that website in an effort to push it off to our operators. But we're not a membership. Our requirement and what has been tasked of us by our municipal partners is to build tourism, build demand, create opportunities for people to travel here, and we do that through various ways that we could talk about.
So, how do you decide what to promote?
That's a good question. Well, we try to promote everything, but everything doesn't have the same lead demand as other things. So what we kind of do is we look at our branding, which we have an established brand, and within that brand we have specific brand pillars. So things that amplify the story we're trying to tell about our destination, and that story we're trying to tell about our destinations is a way to differentiate our destination from others. So in order to tell that story and to promote us as a place that people should see and visit, we lean on our brand pillars, and the top three brand pillars are Acadian culture, our seafaring heritage, and also our astrotourism. So we kind of put experiences and attractions and stories and other things in those buckets, and then we try to tell the story from those perspectives. So let's say we're building a campaign about trying to get people to come here. We may build one around, if we build a digital campaign, we're going to touch on all three of those brand pillars. We're going to have content, so videos and photography about starlight and astrotourism and how you can experience that through hotels and attractions and experiences, or just walking on the beautiful trails. And we're going to also try to tell the story of the Acadians and the living Acadian culture and all those other things. And then we'll try to also tell the story of reiterate and amplify the story of the destination through access to nature and our seafaring heritage and how everything is very much connected to the ocean and including where people work and the lobster industry and fresh seafood and all these things. We keep trying to tie all those together and amplify those stories and build them up. And that's what helps us to determine what we should be promoting and how we should position it, so that we're not just trying to tell everybody that we're a great place for everybody. We don't want to throw the kitchen sink at everybody. If you do that, you won't differentiate yourself from other destinations. You have to try to build a story, refine it, and then build on it. And these stories that we're promoting in these products, they are based on what people are looking for and also what we know people are searching for. So in our marketing, we know that one of the top uh, search terms that people use when they arrive is, they type in their phone places to stay or things to do or places to eat. So we've built copy on our website, and we try to answer those questions in our marketing. That's kind of the one of the tactics we use.
So, how much overlap is there between what you guys are doing for Yarmouth and Acadian Shores and the other DMOs that may exist in the province?
So there's overlap in the form of partnership, but most DMOs have you know a mandate to promote their region. And then of course, if you are an actual DMO within the province, because there are really only four dedicated DMOs in the province. That would be Discover Halifax, Destination Cape Breton, Destination Eastern Shore and Northumberland, and Yarmouth and Acadian Shores. All other tourism marketing in the other areas of the province is done through other organizations. Sometimes it takes the form of a partnership. Sometimes it's done through chambers of commerce. Sometimes it's done through RENs, and then there's just many layers to tourism. So there's actually also an indigenous Mi'kmaq effort to grow Mi'kmaq tourism in the province too.
Excellent.
And yeah, so YASTA, we work with everybody, but always with the goal in mind of, okay, how will this partnership amplify our efforts to try to build visitation. So you were part of a big project we had done in 2022, which was called TMAC, Travel Media Association of Canada, and I thank you again for your help.
Oh, that was a lot of
You were
fun.
great. Yeah. But it was a massive undertaking, and we promoted basically everything west of or south of Route 8. So we worked with lots of partners from, including Parks Canada, the province of Nova Scotia, Tourism Nova Scotia, even Halifax, Discover Halifax, to promote itineraries and routes and experiences within this area. And one of the ways we this is talking about tactics. One of the ways we work to build awareness and promotion of our destination was to bring in travel media, so people that write professionally about travel and destinations. So we brought in um, um, I think close to 100 media and industry people in 2022, June 2022, and we gave them amazing itineraries. We ran a conference. There was a seated marketplace. There was a bunch of events. We had the Blue Nose in the harbor. It was just amazing. And all those folks went out and then they wrote articles and blogs and created videos and created tons of content that was telling the story of our destination. And we made a clear effort to make sure that the story we wanted to tell, Starlight, Acadian tourism, seafaring heritage, Mi'kmaq culture, all those things, we tried to make sure that we were giving those writers access to those experiences so they would write about them and then tell that story, which helps to amplify what we're trying to do here. So much of what we're trying to do as a destination organization is awareness. Just tell people where we are and what you can do here and how it's great to come here. But um, that was just, in that case, we worked with lots of partners and we worked from a really broad area. A lot of times we're working just with maybe a small organization. We work really closely with Bay Ferries, for example. They're not small, but they're obviously a massive partner because so much of the visitors that come to Yarmouth and Acadian Shores come through the main Nova Scotia ferry. So a lot of what we do is partnerships, that's for sure. A lot of what I do is forging and maintaining and partnerships.
Now, you mentioned Bay Ferries, and I mean, certainly there was a time when we didn't have a boat. And, we had to kind of shift focus a little bit regionally to promote the area as a destination rather than just quote unquote a gateway, which it had traditionally been sort of before. Did that lay a foundation for where Yarmouth and Acadian Shores exists today, or have you guys even pivoted off of that?
In 2007, the hotels, local hotels, when they started to see a downturn in American visitors arriving through the international ferry link through Yarmouth, and there was some upheaval with regards to uh, travel trends. And if you remember, after 2011, or sorry, 2001, and that event in September 11th, um, travel really was impacted, and it then required Americans to travel with passports into Canada. Believe it or not, for folks that are younger, you used to be able to get onto the American or the U.S. ferry with your driver's license and a paper driver's license and go to the United States. Um,
Yeah, you just
Changing
needed
things.
ID. That's all you
Yeah,
needed.
so changing things now, changing things then didn't impact that, and there's still a lot of Americans that don't have passports, which is a barrier. But in a response to the downward trends, the actual hotels in the region developed a what's called a hotel levy. So they said, okay, let's take $2 per night for every visitor that stays, and we'll collect that $2 from the visitor, and we'll put that back into a fund to market and promote the destination, to try to build awareness, to try to continue to maybe look for other markets, to bring in events, which is another thing we can talk about. And we just kind of mentioned TMAC, but other events too, like sporting events and cultural events, etc. Um, and so that was done, and then the municipalities, the four municipalities in Yarmouth County and including Clare and municipality of Clare, um, worked to develop a marketing organization, a destination marketing organization, and they called it Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association, and from there they started to develop a brand and a purpose, and that was around 2010, and they put in their own funds as well and amplified the funds that were coming from the hotels, and then those funds were often leveraged with provincial and federal dollars to do various things like bring in events, to do marketing campaigns, to do destination development, like build and help organizations or businesses that wanted to build a tourism business or build a tourism experience. There was supports to do that, and there still is help we can offer people to help with that. And Off they went. And I joined the organization in 2013, and then I've been leading the team here since 2014. So I've been when I started, there was no ferry, and we were trying to market and promote everything we could without having access to that massive market in the Northeast U.S. And it was hard, and things were really bad. And But we held on and we kept doing it, and then we also did a huge lobby and advocacy piece to try to get the government to change their mind, which they eventually did. And then here we are today with a ferry that's continuing to grow and build visitation and bring Americans and other visitors to Yarmouth and Acadian Shores.
And of course, one of the other major events that we still have to talk about is COVID-19. So, I- are we are we at a point now, Neil, where we can officially say that that's in our rearview mirror?
Well, I think there certainly is no can arrive can app anymore. So that was. I mean, if I just think from a, I'm not going to get into any of the medical piece because it's just not. I'm not an expert in it or can really offer any you know educated position on that. But I would simply say from a marketing position, when there's challenges around travel, when there's access to destinations, when there's no flights or no ferry, or there's barriers at the border due to X, Y, or Z, all these things slow travel. Tourism needs people to move around, and they need them to move around efficiently and freely. And if they can't do that, your travel, your visitors are going to suffer, and you're not going to have as many visitors. So I think there is a lot of less impact from COVID on travel, certainly into our area. I think Nova Scotia fared really well, but we went from 2019, or sorry, 2018 was our biggest year on record at that point. We had brought in 73,000 visitors, or sorry, we had sold 73,000 room nights in Yarmouth and Acadian Shores, the region. and that's just talking about hotels. That's not talking about Airbnbs or other things. Um, there was 70. That was our biggest year on record, and then the next year, the ferry moved from one port to another, and the room nights went to 57,000, and then COVID hit, and room nights went down to 40,000, and that was really difficult for most businesses and related to tourism. It was a massive challenge, and we're still, I guess, the fallout we're feeling from that now is still as around employment and jobs and getting people to fill positions, and that's in across many sectors, not just tourism, but certainly tourism's feeling that. Um, and then, 2022, we 2021, we really started our recovery. We actually were able to deliver an event in September of 2021, the 55 games, which was a provincial event. But I remember right up until the event, we were trying to figure out all these COVID protocols and all these situations and what would happen if one thing happened or another thing happened, and it was really difficult. But we managed to do it, and we ended up with around 61,000 room nights sold that year. And then 2022, we had two national events, TMAC, as I mentioned, and we also had a national curling event, which you were also part of. Thank you
That was a
again.
lot of fun.
And we can talk about events and how they have a massive impact. But 2022, we ended up with 86,000 room nights sold. So that was the most we've ever sold in the destination from a room night perspective since I've been measuring it back as far back as 2010. Maybe the numbers were higher when we had two ferries coming here in the 80s, but a tremendous year, and it was the best year we ever had was in 2022 with regards to room nights sold. And There was a big demand, a roar to come back. People wanted to travel, and then we also had two great events lined up, and all these things happened. And this year, 2023, when we look back, we ended up with 82,000. So we're still trending above our best year ever, or prior to 2022, which was 73,000 in 2018. So we're still really happy, and we're selling rooms, and these people, when I talk about rooms, it's because when people come and they stay in a room, they're, obviously, you've traveled, I've traveled, so many people of your listeners have traveled. You rarely only spend. I can't think of any situation where you would only spend on the hotel room. Maybe if you
Yeah,
packed
it's
all
a
your food and
cascading
everything,
effect.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a primary indicator that if we're selling 86,000 rooms or 82,000 rooms as we did last year, um, that there's going to be a cascading benefit. There's going to be amplified spending through other sectors. There's going to be even businesses are going to benefit from those visitors being here that may not even be specific tourism businesses. Wouldn't think of themselves as tourism businesses. I think of, like, gas stations and stores and uh, other things, other sectors that folks might not think of themselves as a direct tourism business, but they're benefiting because of this higher demand and higher visitation. Right. That's why we work so hard at trying to bring more visitors, because we know the entire economy benefits from it.
And we can't think of 2024 without talking about the Congrès coming up in August.
That's right. So the Congrès will be here in August, and it's just going to be
123 days, 12 hours, 37 minutes, and 4, 3, 2, 1 second. I happen to have the website up. I just wanted to put the countdown in there in case anybody was wondering.
Are you helping out with that in some way?
In multiple ways. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
It's
I
going to be a
figured you would be
blast.
helping some way. So
Absolutely.
that what there's concerts planned, the family reunions, all the visitors that are coming. When I look at our data, and I love looking at this type of information because it really helps to paint the picture of how we're doing. We're going to see. I think we're going to have a great year. I think we're trending. Um, we're I'm not going to say numbers, but I'm going to say I would be very disappointed if we ended this year without seeing an increase in occupancy, an increase in revenue, and an increase in room nights sold. I really can't see how that's going to happen unless the fall completely tanks. Based on what I see now, looking forward, I think we're going to have a great year. I know the ferry is marketing and promoting hard. They've been in market since November, since Black Friday. They've been selling tickets and pushing. They've been in New York and Boston and other places as well, building those awareness and those markets. We've been with them in some of those locations to also promote our destination, and we'll continue to do the same thing. So I'm really, really excited about 2024. I think it's going to be a great year from a visitor's perspective, and certainly the CMA is going to be massive and going to contribute incredibly to our success this year.
Now, we always kind of look at social media as being a bit of a double edged sword, but from your angle, having accessibility to the internet and social media in general, it's got to be a big boon and make it a whole lot easier for you to get your message out.
It's a double-edged sword, like you mentioned, because I think with our stuff, we're not that controversial, and we're not there's the odd thing, but generally we're not trying to curate and manage our content so much from a perspective of negativity. Um, we can tell good stories, we can tell about happy things. We're not on there often talking about negative things. We're talking about positive, you know, travel and experiences and building memories. But the problem with social media is that when you can certainly reach quite a few people through earned media by other people telling your story, which is a channel we do try to promote and leverage. But the challenge with these large platforms like X, or we don't even really market on X anymore, but on Meta or Instagram, even Pinterest, for example, is that if you really want to amplify your message and get reach people, you have to pay to do that. So there's always a gatekeeper, and that cost is always going to continue to go up. These platforms are social media platforms, and most users think of them as social media communication types of things, but when you really get into the back end, and maybe you have seen some of this in the marketing side of these things, these are incredibly sophisticated, intelligent, money sucking platforms, right?
Sure.
These are about selling advertising, and you could spend all of your money on social media advertising, and they would let you spend it, and they would be able to spend it. They would be able to take your money so fast that your head would spin. So so we think of social and platforms, like we do market digitally on, often with partnership dollars. So that's the first step, is we say, if we have a certain amount of money, the first thing we do is try to say, who can we go to and 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 match this with, that we can get more reach with this, right? So that our reach is extended by partnering with people like Tourism Nova Scotia or Bay Ferries or other partners. And then two, we try to not when we're forced and we know we have to market on these social channels and social media platforms and things like Google, with search terms and display ads and other things. um, we we look at that as one channel, and we say, okay, here's what we're going to do with paid digital. And that would include social media and Google and all those other things. And then we try to build our other channels too. So we try to build things like our earned media and our um, uh, folks that are telling the story for us. So um, earned media, like social media posts, people that are sharing our content, all that type of thing. But then we also try to build our own media platforms. So things like our website and our email lists and all these other things that we own and that we don't have to pay somebody to promote or get access to. And that's a slower process, but it's in the end it benefits, because um, the gatekeepers, Meta and Instagram and Google, are only going to continue to charge people more money to market on their platforms, and we have to continue to do that. But we can't put all our eggs in that basket, because we'll never be able to compete. We have to continue to build our own media channels as well, and grow it that way.
So, if people want more information about YASTA and any of the events that we were talking about, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the most of what we do is visitor facing. So, like, most of our effort is it's focused on building awareness of the destination. So Yarmouth and Acadian Shores is what we want to tell people about, our website and our destination. But if someone wants to get in touch with YASTA and us, to talk about anything, they can certainly reach me. My email is on that website, or they can give me a call.
Laura Muse is local and spent most of her life in the food service industry and as an entrepreneur. She was the proprietor of the Hatfield House in Tuscot. Now, we chatted with Laura about what she has been up to since selling the Hatfield House.
My gosh, I have been busy since I sold my restaurant back 5 or 6 years, 6 years, I guess, the Hatfield House, and here in Yarmouth County. So I do fall under, the YASTA area. And I have a new project called Inner Oaks Holistic Approach Experiences, and I'm growing herbs. And I'm teaching people how to harvest these herbs, and how to cook with them. And we go to my outdoor kitchen and we put these beautiful, thoughtful, creative dishes together. So, and I've also offered another element in there too, a little bit of soul boosting. It's such a beautiful property where I now find myself.
So, in growing herbs, you don't need a lot of space, and you really don't need an overly green thumb to do that, do you?
No, you really do not. And you can just get some basic, what I call basic kitchen herbs, like your oregano, your thyme, your basil, your chives, your garlic chives, those things that you want to put into your everyday dishes. And herbs are incredibly healthy for you.
And, I mean, I'm sure most people, and I included, have used a lot of dried herbs over the years, but nothing beats fresh, eh?
That's right. I mean, some herbs are, when they're dried, they're more concentrated. So we tend to use a little bit less. But let's take cilantro, for example, which I grow a lot of and love and put in my smoothies. That's better fresh. And so is in parsley. So those are two that you can dry, but I don't like to dry because they don't have a lot of flavor, but they're just packed full of flavor when eaten fresh.
Are there certain herbs that grow better in our climate here than others?
There is, because we have what we call a zone, and our winters get pretty cold. So I like to grow a lot of perennials, which the thyme and the oregano and the chives and even the sage, and sometimes rosemary can survive our brutal, cold winters. So those are some that I like. The ones that only survive in warm weather, you have to plant every year, and those are the ones like cilantro, lemon verbena, and basil, for example. You would just plant those every year. And then we have some self seeders where they don't survive the winter, but they do drop their seeds, like parsley. I was in my greenhouse yesterday and I have all this parsley down in between the rocks of my walkway.
There are some of them hard to get rid of once you start growing. I've heard some horror stories.
You got to be careful where you plant certain things. Yes, lemon balm grows really fast. It's something I use in teas, and it's a medicinal herb, and it is a perennial, and it comes back every year on its own, and it can spread rather quickly. So there's one, and there's lots of others.
Part of what you are doing with Inner Oaks is you're marketing an experience. Give us a feel for what that experience could entail.
Yeah, my guests sign up. They come at 10 o'clock in the morning generally, and they run for about 4 hours. And so I start out by giving them a tour of my nursery. So I have created this space full of herbs, berries, and vegetables. I have a little gift shop and a greenhouse. And we do a walkthrough, and I explain a lot of the herbs to them. I'm picking things and they're tasting them, and they really get to tune into all of their senses, what they see, what they smell, what they feel, what they taste, you know. They really appreciate it, up close and personal like that. And then we gather some herbs, and we go up to the lavender patch, which is, going to be in bloom in July and August. Um, and then we're going to gather some things and go back to the outdoor kitchen, which is an area that I've created, which has it's a way to cook ingredients, a sink, a counter, a nice area. And we work together. I pull them in and they help me cook. And then we set a table and we just have this wonderful creative meal together. They thoroughly enjoy it.
It's got to be relaxing when you think about it.
It's totally relaxing, informative, educational. We're right on the river. There's a lot of birds and chipmunks. It's a very very peaceful setting. And often people will tell me they feel like they're getting a soul boost, just by being on the property.
Is that the main takeaway? Like, what is your hope as a takeaway from your guests?
Well, it depends which experience they take. Now, I have three different ones. One is a culinary experience, a nursery tour. One is a lavender experience where we focus more on lavender and picking bouquets, and then they get to taste creative lavender desserts and beverages. And then you can sign up for a 24-hour soul boost where you just unplug and reconnect from your life, basically. And, you know, we do an assessment, we get some mindful practices. So when they leave the property, they can continue. And this is for people that are looking to expand and understand maybe their purpose, why they're here on this earth. And so main takeaway, depending on, you know, what they sign up for. Big takeaway for me is educating people on herbs. Um, a lot of people will put them in the ground, but not necessarily know how to grow them, harvest them, or even use them, and they go to waste. So I like to do education sessions, Quinn. So I have two coming up, May 25th, and one on June. I believe it's Wednesday the 5th, and both of those are almost sold out already. And that's the educational one where we really dig in deep and learn about some basic herbs for cooking. And like I said, how to pick them, how to harvest them, how to dry them, and how to cook with them.
And you've got a pretty big presence on social media. So would you attribute social media as being a driver for your inbound guests for your experiences?
Absolutely. I have a following, and they're engaging and very interested. And I'm grateful for that platform. Yeah, so YASTA was directly involved in inviting me to host a seafood culinary experience titled Gourmet Lobster Class. And it was for 8 travel writers, widespread across Canada. It was during the TMAC, the Travel Media Association of Canada, back in June of 2022. So I'm sure you're aware of when they came, and it was wonderful for the area. They were here to promote our Into the Province, Yarmouth and Acadian Shores. Super fun. So I went out of my way to ensure that they had a fantastic experience. It was a great day, great food, great people, and some amazing stories were written by these travel writers as a result. Not only supporting Inner Oaks Holistic, but also promoting other businesses doing great things in our end of the province. So it was really, yeah, I was so happy to be included. And, you know, the other thing is YAST has made recent changes on their social media pages, promoting a variety of businesses in the area, which is so appreciated, you know. And they recognize those that have stepped up to bring a unique experiences, and they include pictures, you know, around the area in the Yarmouth and Acadian Shores brochures. And I've been honored to be there. My lavender patch, which is my lavender garden, which is just beautiful especially when it blooms, got included with that. So
So were they familiar with East Coast seafood and the like, or was it a brand new experience for them?
they were definitely, some of them had been here before, many of them, and they were in love with seafood. I mean, you should have seen the food. I did the cream lobster experience for them,
Nice.
right? But then I also seared scallops, and I had fresh lobster claws that they were dipping in garlic herb butter.
Mm.
So again, you know, it was a wonderful experience for them. If I was asked to do it again, I would. But you know, I am leaning more, like I said, getting more into plant-based now. But I love Nova Scotia, and I love Nova Scotia seafood, and you'll never take that out of me. I don't know if you had a chance to see any of the articles, but there was a couple that came out on Inner Oaks that were I had read on Vacate. Adrian Bobrowski was one of the travel writers, a very famous writer with his own company in Vancouver. And we were very fortunate to have these travel writers in our area. And I'll always remain grateful to YASTA for including me in that, Yarmouth and Acadian Shores.
And I think, does your does your experience appeal to a certain age demographic, or is it across the board?
Totally across the board. I can have young folks, and I did an experience for a group of children, which was so heartwarming for me. You know, 20, 30-year olds, 40, 50. I have seniors. Um, yeah, it's just huge. It's just, I really have no, like, what target market per se. It just, yeah, they come in all ages.
For your culinary experiences, do you focus more on the herb side of things, or are you looking to, you know, bring in things that our area are known for. Of course, seafood being one of them.
Okay, so that's the hard one for me because about definitely seafood. But 5 years ago, or I say five, it might be 7, 8 years ago, I was promoting seafood for tourism. I found myself in Boston on the big stage a couple of times, mic'd up and showing
Nice.
how to make, yeah, showing how to make cream lobster Nova Scotia style. I did the seared scallops. Camus was a supporter of that, and YASTA was behind all of this, of course. So that's been hard for me to kind of let go of because I'm doing a lot more plant-based these days. I still love seafood, but I know that my guests love seafood. So I tend to do things with seared scallops. I still do a cream lobster experience. And in saying that, I also do a lot of plant-based, raw foods, plant-based, which is something everybody needs to add into their life for optimal, health.
Now, I've never known you to sit still. So, do you have any other projects on the go?
That's a good question. Thank you for asking that, Quinn. Gosh, I do have other projects on the go, and so the Inner Oaks, I operate that. Maybe you see on social media, May to September into October. And then the rest of it's my off season. So that is my time that I like to read books, expand further, educate myself. It's more time for meditation for me, really getting quiet, really letting like what needs to come in, more inner healing, which is really important for me, and always, just growing. And I'm in the middle of writing a book. I don't know if you knew that.
Nice. What are you writing about?
So it's a little bit of a memoir, a little bit of history, and then just my journey, my healing journey, my expansion, my connection with my soul, and all of these wonderful synchronicities and things that have happened. And I've been channeling and been doing some intuitive work and painting, where some channeling is coming in with different things. It's kind of hard to explain. So I wanted to share that. And then I also wanted to share in my book, like a lead up to Inner Oaks and, what I'm offering and how people can shift their life. And I'm hoping to be, inspiring to those that want to make some healthy changes in their life, right?
And I mean, it's a personal experience. I mean, even in dealing with food, if you're cooking for your family and the like, it's a personal experience. But there is some base elements that kind of go along with that. Is a cookbook in your future some point?
I have been asked to do a cookbook time and time again, but I'm not feeling it in my soul. Right now, I'm really being led, you know, to go in the direction that I'm going, get my book out. And then I do see a cookbook coming. I think it's coming down the road. I definitely have another book or two in me. We'll see how the first one how the first one does. But for me, Quinn, and food is love. Like it's my way. I love to cook for people, and it's my way of showing. It's so creative, and it's art. Like when I put it on the plate, I can't explain it, but I have this relationship with it that's pretty interesting. I love vegetables now. When I cook them, the plainer the better. Like steamed carrots instead of boiled carrots, steamed carrots tossed in olive oil with a little, fleur de sel with just a hint of diced fresh parsley. And I serve that, and it's so beautiful in its entirety without adding in cream and butter you know? So I'm kind of going a little bit in that direction.
Have you been able to tap into a lot of the traveling and so on that you've done for some ideas for your Inner Oaks experience?
Yeah, 100%. And 100%. Did you ever make it out to the Hatfield House restaurant in Tuscany when I had that?
I did not,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it was a beautiful project, a very successful project. And I had traveled prior to that, and I had a little black book, and I wrote everything down that I loved so much that really touched my heart. And when I created that project, I opened my little black book and I brought all of that right into my project. Um, it was well received and loved and just a magical place. And so what I've done is that since selling it, I've traveled a lot more and I've started really researching herbs, you know, what I'm doing here, culinary experiences. And yes, to answer your question, I'm bringing a lot of that in to my latest project.
In being able to tap into fresh herbs that you've grown yourself and so on, that must give you a great deal of satisfaction in being able to share with your guests stuff that they can do themselves.
Yeah, it's very satisfying, Quinn. It's easy to grow some basic kitchen herbs. It's easy to incorporate them into your dishes. And I think more education is needed around it, And one of my mission statements is on my website is to learn as much as I can and then share with others because I'm learning as well, right?
When you're cooking for yourself, it's not so bad. When I try to cook for other people, like if I do a pot of chili and I'm doing it a potluck for the office or something along that line, you have to be a little bit more conservative, I guess, if you want to call it that, on some of your choices.
Yeah, exactly. Quinn, one of the things I like to do when I do the culinary experiences, for example, is like I will show them how to make a salad dressing from scratch because salad dressings, for the most part, unless you're buying uh, certain specific ones, are full of preservatives and colors. Now, those are really not good for our body. Our body has a hard time breaking those down and it stores. These chemicals get stored in our body, which ultimately can lead to bad health. And I like to show them how to make this from scratch. They appreciate it. We make pasta from scratch. I make gluten-free pasta from scratch. We make risotto. We do a lot with vegetables and different salads. So just trying to really help and educate and bring awareness around that it's easy to make these meals. Now, for those that are working full time, they do have a little bit of more difficult time for getting the meals all together. But I'm trying to show them that it's easy to make a batch of salad dressing. It's going to last all week. You don't need
Sure.
to, So those are the little things that I work toward trying to showcase here at Inner Oaks.
And if people want more information about Inner Oaks, where's the best place for them to go find you?
Yeah, so I do have a website. It's Inner Oaks Holistic Approach Experiences. I've got a beautiful website that's up to date with the three experiences that I offer and just some history on what I'm doing here and the community in which I live. And I only book by appointment only, so I'm not a drop-in center. Even though I have a gift shop, it's only for my guests that have made appointments previous. And I also offer these experience depending on my schedule because I'm still traveling. I have a trip to Europe planned in the middle of my busy time this year.
Nice.
And so I really have to keep it by appointment, but inneroaks@gmail.com or Inner Oaks Holistic Approach Experiences.
Excellent. And of
Yeah.
course, we mentioned you're on social media, so X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. They can
Yeah.
find you all there too.
Yeah. Facebook under Inner Oaks, Facebook under Laura's Taste, and Instagram under Soul Boost Nova Scotia.
Well, Laura, thanks a lot for joining in, and we definitely will check back in with you once you've got a date for release on your book.
I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this has been Outside My Window.